She was the only minority on Mount Pleasant Town Council, but after 17 years, Thomasena Stokes-Marshall retired in November. In this special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with her one-on-one.
Based on that you think is going to be ultimately be in the best interest of the people. The other thing is, the town of Mount Pleasant, when I moved back home, the population was 32,000. We're now 78, and it's rising, still rising. The town of Mount Pleasant does not just consist of Coleman Boulevard, Old Village, Shem Creek area. As a matter of fact, that may be one of the smallest area or communities in the town when we look at the development as we move north. And as you make decisions, you have to look at the big picture. You cannot make decisions in a vacuum, because what you do for one, you're going to get that rippling effect. All right, and you will also set precedents in some cases. And when you set precedents, then you face the potential of litigation. Well, you did it for one person or developer. Why are you not doing it for me? So those are the types of things. And I've always tried to make my decisions based on the information, the facts that are. One thing I can say, the staff that Mount Pleasant has, its planning department, transportation department, they are among the best, and the information and the time and effort that they put into gathering as much information as they possibly could and providing council members with it, is to be commended. And once you get that information, you have to base your decision on that. Saying that, now, that also says, as a council member, it's not about just going to the committee meetings that's held on usually the first Monday of every month, and spending maybe 4, 5, 6 hours there throughout the course of the day attending the committee meetings. I made a personal commitment even before I got elected that I would attend all committee meetings, whether I served on a committee or not. And the reason for that is because I learned early on, as I started attending the meetings, that all too often what happens and the decisions that's made in one committee can ultimately impact and affect the decision of another committee. The other thing I learned is that at the committee level is where the work of council takes place. All right. You have the staff there, they provide all of the information. You have, whether it's developers or whether it's someone who's an expert that's providing you with information on specific topics or issues. And you have the community. You have residents, citizens who are interested in what's going on. And all of that exchange is taking place at the committee level. I learned a long time ago that when we talk about the art of communication, it's not just the spoken word, but it's also the body language. All right. So it's important for me to be able to take in and absorb all of that. And all of that, along with all of the other information that's provided, helps to support my process for reasoning and rationale in reaching my ultimate decisions.
And as you know, not only are you not on council, but there are a lot of other people who are not on there. Chris O'Neill, Chris Nichols. Now we have, Will Haney and Jim Owens on there. And I'm wondering, what do you expect from the new Mount Pleasant Town Council?
What I would like to see is that all of our council members, not just the new ones, I would like to see them approach their responsibility as an elected official in their decision-making process, to absorb and digest the information and work towards making their decisions, looking at it from a big picture point of view as opposed to just a specific area in the town of Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
Okay? We're not elected just to serve the residents on Highway 41 or in Snee Farm or Seaside
Right.
Farm or the Old Village.
Yeah.
We're elected to serve all of the residents in the town, you know. So I would like to see our council members put aside personal differences. You know, it's about, the bottom line, it's about people. It's about serving the people,
Sure.
all right? And if they can put aside personal differences and approach their work as an elected official from that point of view, then I think they would do quite well, you know.
And one person you were trying to get on town council to serve was a Rodley Millett.
Millett.
Millett,
Rodney
pardon
Millett,
me.
yes.
Millett. And pardon me for that, but obviously he didn't make it. But I'm wondering, what brought you to the decision of Rodley and versus someone else, really?
Well, there were several things.
Okay.
First of all, I wanted to, I was concerned from the very beginning, even before I got elected, okay. And I have to say I was really, really amazed when I started going to council meetings back in 93, 94, as I went to council meeting and there was no diversification. If you're not represented, when you have an issue or a concern, who's going to be the voice that's going to speak up for you as an elected official? So, you know, that was one of my main reasons for running. And I found that as a council member, if you don't have people who represent segments of your community and across the board, then that segment or population is not going to be represented. I've heard the expression some people call our town Mount Plastic, all right? That disturbs me. I feel that, see, because I can remember when the majority of Mount Pleasant was farms. And in most areas after you left the old village area, it was African Americans, okay? That has flipped. Whereas now the population of African Americans here is about 7%, and it's declining every day. So when I did not intend to make a council member another career.
Right, right.
But at the same time, as I thought about it, I'm saying, okay, if I leave council, you know, there's no one that's going to represent that population. I don't think that it speaks well of any municipality that don't have diversification that reflects and represents the people that they're serving. So I have been looking for a potential viable candidate for quite some time.
Okay.
And I guess I met Rodley probably about 7, 8 years ago.
Right.
He and I served on the board of directors for the City of Charleston Urban League. And I was quite impressed with, you know, the way he handles himself as a board member, how he's engaged in the community with other nonprofit organizations. Right. He's been the president of the Lions Club. I've worked with him. He and I had a mentoring program for middle school students. Right. And he's very low-keyed, very well informed. If he says that he's going to do something or if he accepts responsibility, you can bet that he's going to follow through on it, you know. And a lot of his characteristics reflect my characteristics, you know. And so for getting to know him and him having that kind of commitment and dedication, I felt that he would be a good, viable person that could run for a seat on Mount Pleasant Town Council and willing to work for the people, having no ulterior motive, agenda, or anything like that. And I approached him on more than one occasion before he said yes.
Okay.
Okay. And the second time, the first time he says, let me think about it.
Right.
Okay. So I said, okay. So I guess it took about a year and a half. I came back and I asked him again, and he said yes, that he was willing to do it, you know. And he has, his area of specialty is HRA, Human Resource Administration. So he was running, he had his own business, and he realized that because one of the things when I approached him and he agreed to run, I advised him that he needed to start attending council committee meetings.
Okay.
He needed to start coming to council meetings. He needed to meet with the mayor, the town administrator, all department heads. He did all of that, you know. I mean, he did his homework.
Yes.
So I was confident that in terms of him being prepared and knowledgeable about the issues and knowing the people and knowing the players, that he was on target. Unfortunately, you know, we had other elements that were at play in this election. So I think that worked against him in terms of him being successful. But I'm not discouraged by it, and nor is he discouraged by it. We have pretty much made a decision that 2 years from now that he will come back and run again, you know.
Yeah.
For the first time, I don't think he did bad. Out of 12 people running, he came
a lot of
6,
people.
you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I think it's important, and I've spoken to the mayor as well as my fellow council members. I think it's important that Mount Pleasant represent and reflect the population that we serve. And therefore, not only do we need diversification in terms of race, culture, and gender on town council, but also on our planning boards and commissions, you know, the various boards and commissions. There's very little diversification, you know, and I see that as being a problem.
And you know, this happened early this morning, but I was looking through and I went back to November 16th and I read that Thomasena Stokes-Marshall will be a part of the calendar for this year. And I know you were in Columbia for that. Talk to me more about that.
Yes.
'Cause that had to have been overwhelming for you.
It was. I was notified in the early part of this year, I guess it was around about March or April, by representatives from AT&T,
Right.
that I had been selected as one of the 12 African Americans to be featured in the AT&T 27th edition of their African American calendar.
Right.
It was overwhelming. It was a humbling experience, was a wonderful experience, and I was literally honored to be among the other 11 nominees at the event that was held on the 18th of November.
Right, Columbia.
Yes, at the Kroger Arts Center.
Right,
Yeah. We had a huge turnout.
That's
and
good.
a wonderful event, you know. So I am the month of November in the AT&T African American 27th edition calendar, and very proud of that.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was. It is.
And you know, I was talking to a fellow Mount Pleasant resident earlier today, and he came up with this grand idea. He said, ask Thomasena Stokes-Marshall if she's going to run for mayor. I said, no, there's no guarantee she's going to run for mayor. So as we sit here right now, is that in your feature?
No.
See?
No, it's not. You know, I've had, you know, again, humble. I've had a number of our residents that have approached me. That is not an area that I would want to venture into. I have served under 3 mayors.
Yes.
And it's not an easy job.
Yeah.
You know, and not only are you dealing with and accountable to the voters and residents that we're serving here, but you are called upon to deal with other elected officials on the local,
Yeah.
the state, and the national level.
Right.
And I do not relish that territory. And I also feel very strongly that I can best serve my people being in right here in the grassroots.
Yes.
You know.
Working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
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 That's awesome. Well, Thomasena Stokes-Marshall, it's been a pleasure talking to you again. Thank you so much for your time.
Always a pleasure, Quintin.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.